What is up? Thank you so much for joining in. We are talking to you from Bali, Indonesia, where we are just loving life, this beach life of Bali. And we get it. We get the buzz now. We've heard so many positive things about Bali from other travelers and everything that's out there on social media and different websites. And it has lived up to it so far, hanging out with monkeys, going to coffee tastings and the rice fields. And it's been amazing, the scooter lifestyle. We just love it. This is Matt Javid alongside Nikki Javid, and we are a traveling couple that has been on the road for almost 21 months now, traveling the world and documenting it as we go from our website, passportjoy.com, on this podcast, on our social media platforms, in the hopes to give you some advice that might make your trips a little bit better. Obviously, we don't know it all. We're just trying to share the little bit of information that we've gathered along our trip, that we feel like that we're getting a little bit better at this, and we're trying to help you learn through what we've learned through, if that makes sense. Today, we are talking about top locations that we would love to go, that we would recommend considering in 2019. There's a big list that just came out of the top 20 travel destinations in the world. We are not going with the top 20. We're going with some other creative ones. We put together a top 10 list that are not on that top 20. So these are like creative places that you might want to consider traveling to in 2019 as you start to put together your dream list for the new year. If you're just catching up with us on this podcast and you're like, hey, where have these two gone? What have they done? Go to the website, passportjoy.com, click on the Journey So Far tab. That breaks it down month by month, country by country, all the places we've gone. It also has helpful links in there to different content within the website. If you've got an idea that you want to go to South Africa, or you're thinking about going to Albania or Spain or Prague, I list it all out there, and it has links and all the things that we've enjoyed along our stays in those locations, and that's the best way. And if you're just tuning in, you're like, where are they now? What depending upon when you listen to this podcast. Also, you can just click on the Now tab at passportjoy.com. It tells you exactly where we are, what city and country that we are present day. All right. Also, watch for, depending upon when you listen to this, Singapore episode is now live for World Barbershop Adventures. Again, this is the docu-series on YouTube that looks into not only the haircuts and shaves and all the cool stuff that I'm getting in the barbershops around the world, but also taps into the culture a little bit. So we do the audio here. That's kind of the visual aspect. And I do some voiceovers to give you a little our point of view on the trips that we're having in those places. They're typically between 20, 25, 30 minutes long. And we've been getting some really great feedback on those, and really appreciate that. And it's something that if you're enjoying this, you'll probably like that as well with World Barbershop Adventures. You can either find the link at passportjoy.com or just type in World Barbershop Adventures into YouTube and it'll pop up there. If you're looking to go shopping for the holidays, we're right before Black Friday now. If you're looking to go do that and you're a big Amazon freak like we were, please consider going through passportjoy.com/Amazon, and that'll take you to our influencer store, which is essentially our recommendations on Amazon of the things that we love, from our books to the things that we miss from home, our electronics that we're using as we travel, this microphone I'm using for this podcast, our travel clothes, our backpack, all the things that are in it. You can go find all that there. We even built in descriptions of the items on why we love it so much. All there is easy to use and navigate. If you go to passportjoy.com/Amazon, it takes you right there. And then maybe you can just bookmark it as a place that you go to as a shop within Amazon and check in every once in a while. I know some people click the follow button, then you just follow me along. And whenever I update things, they get those pings as well. All right. In case you break away before we recap on the end, please remember to sign up for the newsletter. We send out weekly highlights on Thursdays of everything we're going through during the week and what's coming up. And it's a chance to read about all the highlights that come through our radar, and we want to share with you, not only with what we're doing, but also just like kind of travel updates and just cool stuff that we're seeing that we want to share along the way. All right, let's get into this episode. All right, as people begin to consider their 2019, it's crazy, 2019 travels, hopefully you're looking forward to maybe an epic summer vacation that you're looking for, something in the spring or even in the fall of 2019. MasterCard's Global Destination Cities Index recently came out. And what that is it has 162 cities on there. And it doesn't simply just look at the top travel destinations, but it also looks at visitor volume and how much money is spent in the calendar year of 2017. And it's pretty in depth. But based on that list, they came out with the 20 top places in the world. Well, they rank them all of them, but they posted the top 20 cities in the world where people are traveling to, with the top destination being Bangkok, Thailand. And within the list, we've actually been to more than half of the cities that are listed, including Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, New York, Tokyo, Istanbul, Hong Kong, Bali, where we currently are now, Osaka, and Pattaya, Thailand. So based on that list, we are not going to talk about those places because obviously they're super popular places that people plan to go. What we're going to look at is going to places that aren't on this list and almost creative or places you might not think of front of mind, but maybe it's a location that you might start to target based on Nikki and I's love for these places. So I will go first, and it's kind of a top 5 for each. Where I think we have at least one overlap, and we'll go back and forth and list those, and hopefully we'll give you some incentive to want to go to one of these places in 2019. My first place is Lisbon, Portugal. Now, ideally, you'd want to go probably in June because we've been there now twice in June. It's a ton of fun. The festivals are nuts. There's Portugal Day, but there's St. Anthony's Festival, and we were lucky enough where the World Cup was going on as we made our trip there this year. So it was bananas. But I just love Lisbon because it's a very nice, clean European city. So the infrastructure is amazing, but it also has this romantic vibe to it with the cobblestone streets, narrow streets, awesome cafes, pubs, restaurants. Obviously, I like the food there, and it's not big though. The city's only about 500,000, and not that it seems small, but you can tell that it's not large, if that makes sense. And the people, we've got friends there that live there, and they've always been kind to us. And the people are just extremely kind, but real and raw and authentic, which I dig. It's not like, even though it's a touristy town, they stick to their culture in a way that it just makes it authentic, and it's a lot of fun to be around them because they stick to their customs and how they handle things, and the way that they like to party and showcase and have nice dinners outside and kind of that festive atmosphere. But they're also extremely hardworking, expanding their businesses and doing a lot of great things. So I love Lisbon, Portugal for all those reasons. And I will pass it over to Nikki.
Yeah, Lisbon's awesome. The only thing I'd actually add to that is there's a lot of cool day trips that you can do too. In addition to staying in Lisbon, Lisbon has a great train system that you can just hop on, and you can go to like Cascais and a lot of their cool little surf towns around that area. So although, we're highlighting Lisbon itself, which is a fabulous place to stay, if you do plan on going there, just know that you can stay there and then hit a lot of their surf towns and beach towns, which are super close, like either, 30 to 40, maybe at the most an hour away, where you can really travel around and feel like you've actually gone elsewhere in Portugal and get the bang for your buck. So Lisbon, awesome place, love it, super cool vibe. You get the best of both worlds. You feel like you've gone to a beach town in addition to, you have that city vibe. So Lisbon is awesome. I'm going to do, and this is really in no particular order for me, but the first one I'm going to talk about, and a lot of you have heard me talk about this before, is San Pedro de Atacama, Chile. For me, if you are an outdoor adventure person, this should be high on your bucket list of things to do. There are so many things to do. I don't even know where to begin. So one of the first things we did when we were there is we did stargazing, and it's the best place in the entire world to see the stars. It's just due to lack of pollution, clear skies. They actually have, I think it's 6 to 8 observatories. NASA and the ESO has, I think, 8 observatories. I could stand corrected, but where you can see the stars so clear. And that was such an amazing thing for us to do. And we learned a lot that night when we did that. But There's salt flats there, geyser fields, tons of hiking opportunities, varying from very beginner to the most advanced. And we did what was supposed to be a beginner hike, but I felt like it was probably intermediate. We climbed Cerro Toco, and it was definitely like a snowy and icy hike for us. So we had to do it like at a very slow pace so we could avoid altitude sickness, but it was enjoyable and I felt like it was super fun. They have hot springs that you can swim in where, the outside ambient temperature is 0 degrees, but when you get in the hot springs, it's like 40 degrees Celsius. So super cool thing to do. There's little towns that you can go, nearby towns where they have like 12 to 15 inhabitants. And in these towns, their main thing is they're banking on tourists to come so they can sell their handmade goods. They have like alpaca and llama meat that they have that you can try, things like that. And then the nearby attractions that you can go and visit would be like Valle de la Luna, which is Valley of the Moon, and then Death Valley. And in these places, there's just beautiful, beautiful mountain ranges that you can see. You can actually climb them and get like a guide to help you do that and navigate that. But the views are just incredible. And then along the way, just some of the most amazing landscapes that you can see. And like in any given day, we saw desert landscapes and we saw lagoons and, like I said, mountains, and just the lagoons themselves are just mind-blowing because there's just this crystal clear water that you see up against the background of, mountains, and it's just crazy, like green grass that's just coming out of nowhere. You have no clue like how it's growing in the middle of the desert. And I was just mind blown just to see how the landscape would change just from like really, really short car ride of about an hour. And the weather itself, how in the morning you'd wake up and it'd be near freezing and you'd have to have a jacket on. And then during the afternoon, you'd have to dress for summer. So really cool place to go. For me, it was mind blowing. I've never seen anything like it in the world. So definitely put that on your list if you like outdoorsy type thing.
Yeah, absolutely love San Pedro de Atacama. And I think Lisbon's kind of a self-explanatory. You can fly into Lisbon from any major city, or you'd probably go into Madrid and take a train over. Lisbon should not be that hard to get to. San Pedro de Atacama, however, you might have to get a little bit creative, probably flying to Santiago, Chile, and then take a bus up. There might be more flights going into Antofagasta, where we spent a week as well and we loved. So just keep that in mind. Transitioning on to Krakow, Poland. For me, on my list, I just loved Krakow, and I think it was because of the history and the vibe that came with it, and I think the future is so bright for Krakow. I get a chance to see that as well because I went to some co-works and I had a co-working space there and had a chance to talk to a few business owners and just to get a vibe of everything that they've gone through, and now the future is so bright and the opportunities are great because a lot of businesses are starting to invest in it. And then you get extremely multicultural in a sense for that part of Eastern Europe, but it still has this old romantic vibe to it because it has the architecture from the old times because it wasn't destroyed in the war like the other cities in Poland. An extremely walkable city with the best tour guides that we have had traveling so far. Their tour guides are unbelievably educated, passionate, and so that was great to experience that. And obviously with Auschwitz not far away, and to be able to do those day trips out there and all the history that comes with that and the importance of that, everything that goes around that city. It's just one of those places where if you're trying to get something more out of your travels than maybe just like an epic week away, and this is maybe more of get a sense of history as well. That's why I put Krakow on my list. And then you could also, if you were making a journey like that, whether you're in Europe or if you're coming from the States or Canada or something, you could probably couple in Warsaw, which is more of a modern city. It has a lot of the niceties that you'd be used to in a major city in America if you had a little bit more time. But there's actually direct flights. We saw direct flights from Chicago to Krakow, Poland now, and a lot of direct flights from the States. So it's easy to get to. And then the dollar goes a far way there as well. So it's one of those nice places like that.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to the Krakow, Poland is that their food options are phenomenal. They have tons and tons and tons of different types of food to choose from, whether it be Western food, Polish food. I mean, they had Mexican options, they had Mediterranean options, they had every type of food. And what I did notice there was that in Poland itself, in the two cities that we went to, it was Krakow and Warsaw, it was by far the most vegan and vegetarian options that we've seen to date. So they're really on the up and coming when it comes to being very progressive with types of like bougie food options and really healthy options for dining out. And I really, really appreciated that. So my next pick is going to be Koyasan, Japan. And Koyasan, Japan was just like a super, super peaceful place for me. It's like no other city I've ever been to. So it is the actual headquarters of the Shingon Japanese Buddhism. And there are over 100 Buddhist temples in Koyasan, and it's located on Mount Koya. And it's spelled Koya. And the city itself is actually 800 meters above sea level. So the weather is always going to be slightly cooler as opposed to any of the other surrounding cities. So it was really neat. We had come from Osaka, and it was fairly warm where we had come from. And when we got to Koyasan, it was nice. It was like a cool breeze, just totally different. Like I said, very peaceful place. And Koyasan is home to one of Japan's largest cemeteries, and it's called Okunyon, and that's where it houses over 500,000 graves. And we walked in this cemetery, and it's just absolutely breathtaking. And I personally am not a cemetery person. I don't like taking tours through cemeteries. The only other cemetery I've ever been to in the world where I actually enjoyed it was Recoleta in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And this cemetery is just breathtaking. There are Buddhist temples. There's just all these little Buddhist statues inside the cemetery, and you can give offerings to these statues everywhere you go. The mausoleums and like the temples and the statues inside, where these, I guess, little stones where the people have been buried and the families are buried, are just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, they're like hand carved stones, and you can just walk for miles and miles. We were in there for about a good hour and a half just walking around. And then at night, well before sunset, and then when the sun started to go down, the cemetery itself, they light up these little lanterns all throughout the cemetery. And it's just beautiful. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. I actually posted a Instagram video on my feed, and it's still up there, but it's absolutely beautiful. And the founder himself that founded the Shingon Buddhism is actually buried there. His name is Kobo Dayashi. And a lot of people from all over the world who practice Buddhism go there to visit his grave. And the temples, like I said, there's over 100 Buddhist temples in Koyasan. About 50 of the temples themselves, you can book a room and stay in these temples, and the monks will teach you the way of how they live on a day-to-day basis, how they eat, how they practice, how they meditate, etc. And we unfortunately, I didn't realize how far in advance you had to do this. So when even I tried to do it 8 weeks in advance, and that was not even enough. But we stayed in a lovely homestay there, which was super nice, a family-owned homestay. But yeah, so that's an option, but just make sure you do that well in advance. So yeah, I just really liked that city because when we got there, it was very, very peaceful. At night, pretty much nothing goes on. I felt like everything shut down like around 8 o'clock, but it's just a nice, peaceful way to experience that type of culture if you want to. And there's tons of temples that you can go and visit. You pay a little fee, just a donation to the temple themselves. And a really cool thing that we did do is that we heard if you want to go out at night when the sun is completely down, they light the temples up at night, the outsides of the temples, and you can get amazing pictures. And so one night we actually did that. And it was just absolutely beautiful. It was a completely different feel during the day when we were walking around through the forests and taking the pictures of them in broad daylight, as opposed to at nighttime when it was like all dark surroundings in the forest and we were walking by ourselves and literally no one was around. I mean, you could maybe see 10 people walking around doing this, but just to see the front facades of the buildings lit up by these big, huge spotlights and get those nighttime pictures. And it was a really cool experience.
Next on my list is, it's kind of big, but any Greek island. We've had some great luck between Santorini, Mykonos, Paros, Corfu, and Aegina. We've spent plenty of time on Greek islands, and I just love it. The scooter lifestyle, just being able to adventure out and see the island and everything it has to offer and meet people along the way and just take it all in. Love the beach life. Some of the beaches are nicer than others because some of them are just like rocks, or I know in Aegina we had all those black sea urchins everywhere, so that made it a little bit rough to get in the water. But once you get navigate through the sea urchins, the water is amazing. And then obviously I love the food there, the Greek salads, the seafood, and everything that comes with it. Just the freshness of the food, Greece. And then it just seems like, and I know those are islands, but typically a lot of islands just has that. I don't know if it's because it's the way that you come into an island, but they have that chill culture and that chill lifestyle where nobody's in a rush, and it's just the island life. It just seems nice. Renting yacht opportunities is always great. So you get out into the ocean for a little bit and either just take the sun in or actually get in the water and swim around. And if you're going that way to the Greek islands, you can definitely mix it up and see more than one at a time during a trip. So if you have 10 or 12 days to take them in, you can hop around and see the different islands, because each of the islands has a different vibe to it. Mykonos, for example, in the summer is definitely more of a party island, where Paros is more of a locals Greek vacation destination. But there's so many islands that we haven't been to yet that have a great deal of history and a lot of opportunity. So we have our own bucket list within the Greek islands that we hope to get to. But everything that we've had a chance to experience over the times that we've been there, I always walk away wishing like I had more time, because I just love it so much.
So my next place that I would choose, we did a little tour in Sicily this summer and we visited several cities. And I'm just going to highlight one of my most favorite cities that I went to. It's called Castellammare del Golfo. And so the reason I loved this place so much, and I could be biased because my good girlfriend came and visited me. Her name's Darius. But I think the reason I really, really liked this place was just because of the quaintness of it. So the coastline, it like alternated between like sandy little beaches. They had vineyards. You could see mountains off in the background. It was like a small, quaint town. I don't know. Like when I would go out to dinner with Darius, we would sit there and we would be like a little wine shop, just enjoying a glass of wine, in the street and at just like a little table or whatever. And you could see right across the street a boutique shop owner standing in the doorway, just watching, just whatever, just the daily life go by, and herself, enjoying a glass of wine in the doorway. And it was just a really cool vibe that I got while I was there. The city itself was just different from the other cities that we had gone to. I felt like it was more laid back. They had very quaint restaurants. There was family-owned pizzerias, wine shops. There was fresh seafood restaurants. And then you had like a mix of swanky cocktail bars, but everything was super affordable. And when you went in, people treated you like they were family. And like I said, there was tons of small boutique shops. You could see women that were hanging like their own laundry outside on their laundry lines, because people were just locals that lived there, intermixed with all of this that I'm describing. And so it was just a really cool vibe. And then one day we took a sailboat tour with a couple other people. I don't know, there's probably like 10 people on our tour. And we just got to, tour around one of the sides of the coastline. Yeah. And it was just a really neat experience. And I guess I liked the feel of the laid back vibe that I got from the town, and it was just very clean, and I don't know, I really liked it.
Yeah, I love Sicily. I love Italy as well. I mean, the people are just gorgeous. It was unbelievable. But just how they talk to each other, it's almost like a movie, and it's extremely passionate and sometimes very loud, and that trip was amazing. My next location is Panama City, Panama. This is a great location, especially for folks that are listening from the States, where if you typically go in the winters, if you go somewhere anywhere from December through March on a week-long getaway to somewhere warm, whether it's Cancun, Cabo, Phoenix, Florida, something like that, I think Panama City is something you should look into, because it's definitely an international city. It's different than the places I just described, and it'll give you a sense of a great Central American culture, but it also has the niceties of home because it's a big city. They've got nice casinos, great hotel options if that's what you want to do. But if you wanted to grab an Airbnb in the part of Casco Viejo, which is their old town, it has a great European vibe, awesome little pubs and restaurants. cobblestone roads back there. It gives you a different, you feel like you're in a totally different place. And it's nothing that you can experience if you try to do the same thing in America. And that's why I really dig Panama City, because it's not that far of a flight. It connects through Houston, I believe. A lot of flights go through Houston, but you get a sense of a true international Central American city, and it is a lot of fun. And then if you're adventurous, not only can you take in the heart of Panama City, go to Casco Viejo, but you can go out to the San Blas Islands, which are about a 4-hour drive away on a Jeep. And then you can experience the epic 300 islands that are on the Caribbean ocean side. And grab yourself a yacht for a day or two and just go out into the ocean and see things that you'd never see before. And with the indigenous people that live there, but also the opportunity to fish, eat straight out of the ocean, get in the water, go snorkel, take it all in. It's an amazing experience. If you've never seen the San Blas Islands, we've posted some photos. Just Google search it or look on YouTube for some videos. It is amazing, and they're gorgeous, and it's a lot of fun, and it's absolutely unique. So that's why I threw Panama City on my list.
My next choice would be Alicante, Spain. So I had never honestly even heard of Alicante, Spain. I was more of a like Madrid, Barcelona, Sevilla girl. And then Matt had suggested to me to go to this. I don't even know how he heard about it, but we ended up staying there for 3 weeks. Yeah. So it's located on the southeast coast of Spain. It is such an amazing city. So it has an amazing international airport, awesome public transportation, great public beaches, such a fun nightlife, and it has delicious food. So during our stay, we got a Metro TAM card, which essentially is just for like their public transport, and you can take the train anywhere. It was like less than $10 to take 10 trips, and Matt and I just got one card. We shared it amongst us, and that is how we got literally everywhere. We stayed just outside of their main area called Barrio Viejo, which is the old neighborhood. And that's basically where it's poppin'. And I guess if I were to go back, I'd probably stay in Barrio Viejo just because it's more centrally located. But Barrio Viejo is like a smaller scale Lisbon, in my opinion. So basically, if you go out at night in Barrio Viejo, you can often find like live music playing, people outside in the streets, having a cocktail. Like it's not looked down upon if you were to like buy a beer, buy a cocktail, and then step outside of the bar front and then enjoy that in the streets and like mingle with people that you meet. And I really like that. That's what I love about Lisbon, and that's what I loved about Alicante. And some places that you go to, you're not allowed to do that. Like if you buy a cocktail in a bar, they're like, okay, don't walk outside of the front door. Like you have to enjoy that inside. And so in Alicante, you're allowed to do that. There's tons of restaurants and bars and shopping in this area. And I just felt like it was always buzzing with activity. We were able to go to a flamenco show while we were there, and it was like €10 per person. It was at this flamenco place called Tablao Flamenco La Guitarreria, I believe. And I really loved it because it was like a smaller venue and it really lent to the intimacy of the event. So while you were there, you just really felt like the vibrations from the floor. And we were like 2 tables back from front row, and it was a really, really, really amazing night. Super fun. Like you could see people, like you could see the performers like conversing amongst each other and laughing and stuff. And it was really cool. There's castles in Alicante that you can visit if that's your thing. We went one day and like saw some castles. Like we climbed up and like got some amazing panoramic views of the city. And one of my favorite things that we did is we took a short little day trip. It was just like an hour ferry ride outside of Alicante to Isla Tabarca. And here it's so cool. So this little island, less than 70 people live on this island. And on the island, obviously their main source of income is people like us, tourists that go there, that buy things in their boutique shops and their art studios, and obviously who dine in their restaurants. But on the island, the cool thing is like you can sunbathe, snorkel, and you can walk the island super easy. I think we walked around the entire island in like an hour, but they have tons of walking trails. And Matt even went and cliff dove I don't even know how many times, probably like 10 times he jumped off this cliff. But yeah, it was just so much fun to do that and just get away for the day. And the cool thing about this island is that all the people that live on these streets live in these tiny little like adobe looking houses on this island, and each street has like a theme. So one street was like a music street, and had all these music notes hanging up, and like another street was like an animal theme, and they had these like little paper mache dogs hanging up, and it was just really like nothing I've ever seen before. So really, really highly recommend Alicante, Spain. It's just, there's so much things to do, and the beaches, I cannot stress to you how phenomenal. There's, I don't know, 15 or 20 so different beaches that you can choose all along the coast. They're pretty much connected to each other. They're all named something different, but the train will stop along whatever beach you want to go to, and you could pick your favorite one, but they're just pristine beaches. I mean, there's not a speck of dirt you can find on one of these beaches. And we found one that was our favorite, and we would just take the train all the way down to the last stop and lay out at this beach. And the reason we chose it as our favorite was because, quite honestly, it was the most secluded, and varying from the very first one was the most crowded. It was like tons of people were playing beach volleyball. There was tons of music going on all the time, and it was very kind of chaotic, lots of little kids running around. And sometimes you want that, sometimes you don't. But the one beach that we found on the very last stop of the train, it was like no one was there. It was kind of just like, wow, we hit the jackpot. We could lay out, and like you couldn't even hear a peep all day long. And it was just really, really nice to be able to just chill and hear the crashing waves at the beach. And yeah, it was just like what we wanted at that time. So there's so many beaches to choose from, and it was like a beach vacation for us, and we absolutely loved it.
Yeah, if I lived in Europe, I would definitely be going to Alicante, Spain quite often. My next spot is, and I think it's both of our next spot, is Danang, Vietnam. We've talked about Vietnam a bunch. We love it at a high level. The beaches are clean and amazing and safe and nice with great waves. Very much a scooter lifestyle. If you're not comfortable on a scooter, though, it can probably be very intimidating because it is a larger city with about 1.5 million people. It's the third largest city in Vietnam. So it's not like it's a small beach community. It's actually a large city that has segments of the city on the beach that are more touristy. And that's where we spend a lot of our time. But it's also a great experience to be able to grab the scooter and go into the city, see the market. That's where I went to the barber shop, got my hair cut into the city. And there's just different things you can go and experience within the city walls that are a lot of fun. But you can also stay away from it if you want to and be on the beach touristy lifestyle, where there's a lot of poker room, which is awesome for me. I got a poker room I can go to that's really close and easy to navigate. Great food. We love the Vietnamese food. Has great seafood straight out of the ocean into the grill. The dollar goes a long way in Vietnam, and they've got a great infrastructure as well. So you have awesome Wi-Fi, great cafes. The streets are well paved. And then there's also sights to see as well between Lady Buddha, the Marble Mountain. Now we've got the Golden Hands, or the hands with the Golden Bridge, whatever they're calling it. They're making up some different names, but there's all kinds of things to see with gorgeous bridges as well within the city. In the marketplace that I named as well. The marketplace, just walking through the marketplace is a lot of fun. So I love Danang. Excited to go back very soon and spend some more time there and just see how much we really love it. And we have some friends there as well in the city, which is going to be nice.
Yeah, I mean, ditto what Matt said. I love Danang. The beaches are just pristine. I think I've talked about this before. When you go on the beaches in Danang, you will actually see people that have these, I call them potato sacks, but they're almost like canvas bags that they're carrying around, very large canvas bags. They're the size of my body. And they will be picking up seaweed, stray rocks, stray twigs, any sort of, you name it, and they're putting it in that bag. And the reason being is that they don't want anything that's lying on the beach other than sand. And so legit, when you walk on these beaches, it is like just white powdered sugar. It's similar to me to, yes, it's like Siesta Key in Florida. It's crazy. Like it is so clean. I walked up to this lady when she was doing that and I was like, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand. And she's like, there cannot be seaweed. There can't be any sort of anything that it's like there. She was paid by the government to do that. And I was just mind blown by that. I was just like, she's literally picking up seaweed. I don't understand it. But it wasn't like she was picking up trash. There's no trash to be seen. So I just really appreciate that because you see trash a lot of times when you're traveling, but like this is like nothing I've ever seen before. It's crazy, crazy clean. Like Matt had said, Marble Mountain is so phenomenal. There are these massive caves containing these Buddhist shrines that you can go and see. The beach that I was talking about actually in particular is called Maiki Beach. And they actually stretch for 32 kilometers, which is freaking crazy. And there's a lot of people that actually go there for surfing and, you know, obviously sunbathing. But Lady Buddha, what Matt had mentioned, is a huge Buddha statue, woman Buddha statue that stands 67 meters tall and it looks over the entire city of Danang. And it's almost like the Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio that you can see from pretty much every single angle of Danang. So it's a really cool like feature that when you're in Danang, you look out and you're like, oh, there's the Lady Buddha statue. But yeah, the food is phenomenal. We like are absolutely in love with the food there. So like the pho and the hot pots and the banh mi sandwiches and things like that. But yeah, like we love it. The people there are super nice and a lot of people speak English, and if they don't, they definitely try to do so. So their menus are all in English as well. So there's really not a language barrier when you go there. And in Danang, they're building things like crazy. So they have really, really fabulous resorts and fabulous restaurants and things that we have access to, and things are super, super cheap. And they have really cute bars, like beach bars that are just like right on the beach. So yeah, I'm really stoked to go back there in like less than a month.
Cool. And then a bonus, I guess, to round it out for a round number of 10, a bonus spot for me would be Isle of Man, Ireland. If you were looking for an awesome guys trip, girls would like it too. I don't want to be just make it. Yeah, Nikki liked it, but it's just seemed because there's 20,000 bikes on the island. It's mostly guys. It's probably 90% men on the island during the TT races, and that's what I'm talking about in particular. If you were looking for a destination to just kind of hang out, because it's very, I guess the pace is kind of slow during the day because there's not a lot to do outside of the races, except if you're a big motorcycle junkie, you can look at other guys' motorcycles. You can go around the island on your own and check it out. But essentially, it's 37 miles of roads around a single island between Ireland and the UK, and it's amazing. These guys go over 180 miles an hour flying around this track, and they start up about 6:30 at night. But during the final weeks of May and early June is when it happens, so you'd have to go during that time. But there's Airbnb opportunities, and there's all kinds of different things to do, but mostly it's built around coming from a place like Indianapolis that we've been. It's kind of like the Indy 500 during May, but it's kind of that race lifestyle where you drink and you barbecue during the day, and then you watch the guys go around the track and do their thing. So that's the 10th and final spot. We will put all these in the show notes so you can check it out, because we've talked about most, if not all, these locations on past episodes in greater detail. But we just wanted to highlight 10 spots that if you were looking for ideas in 2019 of places to go, and you wanted to do something just a little bit different than those top spots, like I said, the top 20 list, there's amazing places in there. And that doesn't mean that we wouldn't go back to those places either, because when you're talking about Singapore, and now we're in Bali and Hong Kong and Tokyo, amazing locations. But if you're looking for something a little bit unique, and then also a little bit more cost friendly in some cases, based on some of the places that we've named, this is the list that we would go with. And it doesn't mean that places like Buenos Aires and Rio aren't amazing places too. We just wanted to start with this 10 and give you some ideas to think about, and so you can have a great trip in 2019 as you're preparing. Good luck. All right, let's talk about trustedhousesitters.com. We love this website. It is the website where not only can you find amazing pet sitting and house sitting opportunities around the world, but you can also find trusted, responsible people to watch your pets while you travel the world. So their model is helping pet lovers travel, keeping pets happy at home, sitters stay for free, and owners travel without worry. That is exactly what Nikki and I did as we had an amazing cat sit for 3 weeks in Zurich, Switzerland, a place that we probably couldn't afford to travel to without the help of trusted house sitters. And we had a chance to stay in an amazing 2-bed, 2-bath house just outside of Zurich, and had a chance to have a ton of space, very comfortable, relaxing stay. Got a chance to understand Switzerland, go on amazing treks, see the city, and watch 2 sweet little cats in the process. So it gave us a chance to connect with cats, hang out, see animals, and then also travel like we love to travel. And at home, as you might know, Nikki and I, we had 2 dogs for a very long time, 15 years, and we'd always have to pay people to watch our pets at home. Where this now gives you the option to have people that love to travel come to your home, watch the pets, take care of your house while you're gone doing your own travel, and you don't have to pay them per se. They can just watch your house. That's the benefit they're getting in watching your pets, is to have a free place to stay. So again, trustedhousesitters.com. We love it. You can find out, you can use our free code to get a discount at passportjoy.com/pet. That's PET. Again, passportjoy.com/pet. Or go to episode 25 of our podcast to hear our story, our detailed story. It's about a half an hour podcast on why we loved it so much and all the details we walk through on how to use the website, how to take advantage of all the services they're providing, how to build your profile, and all those things. And I think that you'll really see the value in it. It's a great way to travel, especially if you're trying to do long-term travel. It is something that Nikki and I were very happy that we found, and it's something we're going to leverage a lot in the future. And that is it for this episode. Thank you again for listening. We really appreciate it. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on any of the platforms that you use. That really helps us a bunch. Also, check out the links in the show notes at passportjoy.com. Underneath the podcast tab, I have all the episodes listed there. And with this episode, there's going to be a ton of links because we've talked about 10 different locations. We've talked about these locations before, so I'll make it real easy for you and with the show notes to get those links to understand some of the stuff that we recommended. You can always follow along with our travel updates in our weekly newsletter that comes out on Thursdays by signing up at passportjoy.com. And we also have our blog posts, travel tips and tools, all of our social media links on the website. And while you're there, go check out World Barbershop Adventures and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get all those updates that when those come out, the new episodes come out. We're getting a lot of great feedback from that. It's been exciting to produce that. We're 10 episodes in on that as well. And that's been a lot of fun. So please follow us along there as well. All right, we will be back with you next week for a special Thanksgiving Day episode. Until then, safe travels to wherever you might be heading next.